الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. All praise is due to Allah, and His praise and blessings and peace be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family and his companions and his followers until the day of judgment. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new episode of The Robe That Binds Us, ahlusunnah waljama'aah. We're still talking about the concept of leadership in Islam, or the great imams, or the great leadership in Islam, which we call him the caliph, the khalifa, or the commander of the believers, or the president, or if you want to call him the king. And by the way, all these names been used through the history of Islam, been used through the history of Islam. And the most common one in the early time of Islam was the caliph or the khalifa, and after that became the commander of the believer, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and it also used in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu arda. And also they used the word prince or amir or commander of the believer, as I said. King also has been used sometimes in the history of Islam, and kings is a very famous word. We have it in the Quran because the children of Israel used to be kings, ruling their country or their people as kings. Whenever one will die, his son will take over after him. Anyway, we'll talk about this inshallah very soon. We talked also about the ultimate goal of imamah. The ultimate goal of imamah, as ahlusunnah, the people who follow sunnah, see it can be divided to two main goals: religious goals and worldly goals. The religious goals appear in establishing the concept of tawheed in the country, or providing an environment where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be worshipped alone and nobody will associate other with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in worshipping. And also it will provide the community the mean and the environment where they can establish the salat and pay the zakat and to do what is good, and to advise each other to do what is good and not to do what is forbidden or what is evil. Also, there is worldly goals appear in providing security, protecting lives and wealth and property, and also economy, that the leader of the Muslim or the Khalifa should provide for his people, should provide for the people who are living in his country, and creating opportunities where they can work and make money and bring food to the table to their families. Also establishing justice in the society, and they will have a court system which can judge between people. Having a military where it can defend the country and protect the borders of the country. Law enforcement inside the country to keep law and order inside the society or inside the cities. So there is worldly goals and religious goals. We cannot forget about the religious goals if we have the worldly goals. And we cannot forget about the worldly goals if the religious goals will be implemented, or it will be if it will take place in the society. Both goals must exist in the leadership or in that society. We have two categories of imamah. We can categorize the imamah or the leadership either based on it can be divided in two categories. With regards to how it affects the general Muslim public, it can be divided into two categories. And also, with regards to the imam, imamah can be divided in two categories. So when you talk about how this leadership position will affect the Muslim public, you can have the first one, general imamah, the khilafah. That imamah which is one leader for the whole entire Muslims countries. One leader for the whole entire Muslims country. It's the way it used to be during the Khulafa al-Rashideen, Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, and the Umayyads, the Abbasis, the Ottomans, and so on. So one leader who lead all Muslims. That's one type of imamah. The other one, partial imamah. Partial imamah. Where is an imam, but he will not claim that he is the leader for the whole entire Muslims, regardless what country they are living in. No, he will be the leader of the Muslim where he lives, in the country he lives in. And the example of this, the Caliph in Andalus, in Spain in the old days, which used to be called Andalus and Andalusia, the Khalifa who used to be there, the Umayyad Khalifa in Andalus, he did not claim that he is the leader and the commander of the believers who are living in Morocco, or who are living in Africa, who are living in Baghdad. No, he said, I'm the Caliph, or I'm the Khalifa, or I'm the leader, or I'm the Imam of the Muslim who are living in this part of the world only. In this part of the world only. That's why it happened through the history of Islam that there is some countries, some societies, some region, whereas a person can be the leader of this particular region or this particular country, but it's not necessarily that he's the leader for the whole entire Muslim world. Can we call that person Imam? Can he take the leadership position? Can he become an Imam for the Muslim in that society or in that country? Yes. And it doesn't make sense at all to say no. Either you became the leader for the whole entire Muslim world or not, or there is nothing. This is an extreme view and it doesn't make any sense. That's why the Muslim scholar said, there is no such evidence can support such opinion, which is either to be the leader for the whole entire world or not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ يعني Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, therefore, be careful of your duty to Allah as much as you can. As much as you can do. So that leader, his strength, the only thing he can do is to be in charge of this country, or this society, or this community. So in this case, he's the Imam of the society and this community. I'm saying that because I have seen some people said, oh, it's either the Caliph for the whole entire world, Muslim world, or not. And there is no such proof for this statement. And it's actually, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't go with the rules of the Sharia, with the ultimate goals of the Sharia. Because the Sharia want to establish any place where people can live in prosperity, live under the shade of the Sharia's rules, where it can be implemented and it will bring to the society all kind of goodness. Why not? Why not? So the imamah basically can be divided to general imamah or partial imamah. Most of the Muslims word in the modern days actually apply what you call partial imamah, whereas a leader in one country who will lead the Muslim in that country with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his imam or his leadership position will be related to his own people only. What's the difference between that general imamah and partial imamah? One, general imamah is related to all Muslims. Wherever lives, whoever leaves it, he will die as the Prophet ﷺ, he will die in a status of jahiliyyah. Status of ignorance. So you cannot leave that type of imam. But the partial imamah only related to the people who lives in that place, who lives under the leadership of that leader. So let's say a country, there is an imam, there is a leader who implements the Sharia in his country and people living with him. You cannot say to the people who are living in C country, this is your imam, this is your leader, this is your khalifa, this is the one you must obey. They don't live with him. They're not under his leadership. They have their own country, they have their own leaders. So we have to separate between these two types of imam. Also, all Muslims must obey the caliph or the general imam. But when it comes to partial imamah, only Muslim within his country must obey him. Must obey him. Or whoever living in this country. For the general imamah also, the Khalifa should be from Quraysh. The hadith which talk about Quraysh to be the imam from Quraysh related to the general caliph, but it's not related to the partial imamah, It's not allowed to have more than one general imam for the Muslims. Two caliph, it cannot be unless they totally living in separate continent and they are not in any way can be under one Khalifa or one commander. But we can have more than partial imamah in the same times. We can have in this country one imam, in this country one imam, in this society one imam, in this region another imam, and so on. And they are all can coordinate with each other. Also, the concept of Darul Islam, the land of Islam and the land of non-Muslims, cannot apply to the partial imamah, but it can apply to the general imamah. So it became the land of Islam. But if there is a partial imamah exist in one part of the world, they cannot call themselves the Dar, the place of Islam, or the land of Islam, and other or not. No, it doesn't work with this type of imamah. As for the other way or the other categories of imamah, with regards to the imam, imamah can be divided into category. What I mean by that? Al-imam, the leader himself, can be either general representative or restricted representative. What I mean by that? Imagine there is a country, there is a president of the country, and this country has states, has regions. So the imam, the leader of the country, what he will do? He will appoint a governor for this state. This is what we call general representative. He take all the rights of the imam. He take all the rights of that leader in that region or in that state on that province. And also we have restricted representative, where the imam choose one person to give him one task he's in charge of. So the policeman, he's the one who's in charge to keep peace in the street. So he represents the imam in this case. The person who collect the zakat from people is representing the imam. So you obey him in this area. The person that the imam choose to be in charge of the education ministry, you obey him in this area only because this is we call restricted representative. So he represents the imam in this area only, but there is other one who represent the imam it's a general representative, like the governor or a prince of a region, something like that. So this is in regard to the categories of imamah, and inshallah I hope this is clear, because this will help us to understand the concept of imam a lot. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help all of us and to provide Muslims with righteous leaders and to help our leaders to be righteous. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.